Good morning, it's Bev at Planet Crochet. I've finally got some nice decent weather and some natural light to do Cuthbert the Caterpillar. You'll see the different colours because for the body I used Stylecraft. I'll leave a link below where you can buy that from, and the underbelly's from Stylecraft as well. The spots or the kit and the embroidery and the cheeks and the bow, I use what's in the kit. For Cuthbert, you start at the nose and work to the bottom. You work in the round, you literally go round and round and round. So you'll want a stitch marker. You'll also need your darning needle and your scissors. I'm going to use the hook I use with all my crochet. This is a 3mm, the same size you've got in your kit. If you've only got that, you can still use it. I find it hurts my hand now, so I'm going to use my clover hook. I'll leave a link again below where you can purchase them from. So to start Cuthbert, like I said, we start at the nose, magic circle, yarn over your hand, hold, take it round, make a cross, take your hook, go under, grab the other one, make a loop, in that magic circle you want 6 double crochet. So you've got 6 double crochet. Now I'm going to use UK terminology. The pattern comes in UK terminology. Just look. Yes. That's what it says there. So that's the information, all the abbreviations you need to know. But if you're new to crochet, it's going to look gobbledygook to you. But yeah, UK terminology. So when you've done your 6 double crochet, pull the beginning tail, close. You can leave that for now, but after a few rounds I recommend you sew it in. Now if you was going to join, you would put your hook in the first stitch, pull your yarn through and then through the loop on the hook, and that would be the join. As they're not asking you to do that, you will do your first stitch, which is double crochet all the way along this pattern, and do your first double crochet in the first one of the previous round, and then you will want your stitch marker and pop it in there because you're going to increase. You want another double crochet in that first stitch because that's what INC means, increase. And when you increase, no matter what stitch it is, you more than not increase by 1 stitch, unless the pattern states otherwise. And then you've got 5 stitches left. You want to increase in those stitches. Always count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. Now you know you've done that, you've counted correct. Take your stitch marker out, put your first double crochet in the first stitch from the previous round. Remember to put your stitch marker back. And I do this now, and I've been crocheting since February 15. Now on the pattern it asks you to do 1 double crochet and then increase, and you do that around. So increasing is as before, 1, 2. It's 1 stitch and then an increase, and you do that all the way around. You'll know if you've done it right when you've got to the last 2 stitches. it's 1 double crochet, increase. So you put 2 in. So you see you're slowly getting bigger and bigger. You can pull the beginning tail, just close the hole up a little bit. Take your stitch marker out. You want 1 double crochet in the first. Pop your stitch marker back in. You want to increase and then 1 double crochet. This round you need to concentrate because otherwise you'll lose count. You need to do what you've just done all the way around to the end. And the pattern says you should have 24 stitches. So what you're going to do for the next few rows, as you can see on your pattern, you're going to increase 6 stitches per round. Every round is going to increase. So you started with 6, you went to 12, you went to 24, sorry 18, then 24. So you're increasing in 6. And before you go along, you want 42 stitches. So just do what the pattern says, and if you're unsure, before you get to the end, always make sure you've got enough stitches to finish off. So like this one, oops, in the brackets, I'll write on the screen, it's showing double crochet, increase, double crochet, times 6. So when you get to the end of this round, you should have 3 stitches left. If you haven't got 3 stitches left, you may have gone wrong somewhere as you've gone around. I found this round unusual because I've never done increase in this way. At the end of round 4, you should have 24 stitches, which I have. Now I've just gone wrong, I did 25, and what I'd done, somewhere back here, I'd put 2 increases next to each other. So really watch that as you go around, and at the end of every round count your stitches, because it happens to the best of us. Take your stitch marker out, your first double crochet. Oops, splits this yarn, it's terrible. Pop your stitch marker back in, and it says double crochet 3. What that means is they want you to do double crochet 3 times, not in the same stitch, individually, 1, 2, 3, and then you increase, and you do that around. There you go, round 5. You want 2 more rounds of increasing. Just do what the pattern says and where to do it, and then you should have 42 stitches. I'll do mine off camera and I'll see you back there. At this point you can thread your needle and follow the direction of where you started. How I do it is follow for a few stitches in the direction you pulled it closed, and then I will go back the other way. And I do this now because I came unstuck when I did a blanket for someone. The middle came open because I hadn't threaded the tail, if you like, back through enough and not too tight. You don't want to pull it too tight as well. This is not a blanket, I get it, but you want the same thing. Don't do it too tight, but you want to go back enough, you know it's not going to come open. There you go. From here, Cuthbert, for what the amount of rows it is, it says just do 1 double crochet in every stitch. So it will automatically, it's doing a bit of it now, can you see? Doing a bit of a pucker up. And this is the right side. The wrong side is where you've just sewn in. This is the right side. So it won't automatically curl up on yourself as you're crocheting, as you do the next rounds. But just turn it round as you go and make sure you've got the right side facing out. Just as it curls. It'll curl the other way, but you'll want to turn it round. And then it'll automatically go around his head like that. So just follow the pattern, because we're going to do decreasing, but I'll show you how to decrease. There you go. That's the top of the head made. So now we're going to decrease. So the next round, in brackets, says double crochet 5 DEC. That's decrease, as you see on the abbreviation. I'll show how to decrease. Now you may wonder, why have you taken your stitch marker out and why is it down where it is? Now, because I'm doing straight, just double crochet round and round and round, I can now, as I've been crocheting a while, I can recognise where I finished. And I was fed up when I do round and round in one double crochet, just going round and round. Same with if I do other stitches, I get a bit bored of taking out the stitch marker. So because I'm used to knowing where the spiral starts and finishes, if it was increasing, I wouldn't do it, or decreasing. I always put the stitch marker in the top. But because I'm just doing it like plain, if you like, I know where to start and finish. So that's why I know as I run up, that's the first stitch there. That's just how I roll, if you like. So I've done what it says, 5 double crochet. Now to decrease, you want these 2 stitches to be 1 stitch. Go to start your double crochet, pull your yarn through and stop. Go into the next stitch. It seems wrong at first. Pull up the yarn and stop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a decrease. 5 double crochet. Double check. So there's your decrease. It's a little bit bulky, you can feel it on the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you want to decrease. Hook in your next stitch. Pull up your yarn. Don't do it too tight because it will stretch the previous stitches. So bring it up a little ways. Put your hook in the next stitch and do the same again. Just wiggle it a bit because you don't want it too tight. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops and do that all the way around. Right, I'll put another one. I've got some extra stitch markers. So that's my first one. I'll put it in there. And it won't confuse anybody. There you go. Do what you've just done all the way around and I'll meet you back at gone all the way around. You have 36 stitches. Take your stitch marker out. First stitch is 1 double crochet. Pop your stitch marker back in. And there's that funny decrease again. So it's 2 single double crochets and then you decrease. So easy to just automatically do something else, what you've been doing all along. And if you don't do this the right count, you will not have the right amount of stitches at the end. So it's 2 double crochet, do a decrease, 2 double crochet all the way around, and then you're decreasing another couple of rounds. As you can see in the pattern, you want 18 stitches at the end, and then the pattern says start to stuff. But I think I did a little bit more because the stuffing would come out. I don't want to be holding it in. Anyway, I'll go down to 18 stitches, I'll do the decreasing rounds, and I'll meet you back there. There, I've done the head. The pattern does not say do it in this order. It just says this is the body, head and body, tummy and legs, and it doesn't say which way around to do it. Now I personally like, as I do say an head of a teddy, because my mum's had a couple of things, I'll put the eyes on, I'll put the details on, and then I'll carry on. So that's what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to show you. You can do what you like. If you've got the pattern, I suggest you do what the pattern says, but as you'll see as I go along, if you do what this pattern says, to stuff Cuthbert is fine now. You can get in his head, you can stuff him. Then the next bit, you increase, go to the top, and then decrease again 3 times. According to the pattern, you'll be right down here, and you have to stuff him, and you want it to be nice and firm. So I personally recommend stuff as you go, you know, so as you keep crocheting, following the pattern, as you go, put a little bit more stuffing in. You don't want to overstuff because you don't want the stuffing coming through the stitches, but you want to give him a bit of firm. So that's what I did here. So I stuffed the head. This is different yarn as well, by the way. And as I went along, I just pinched it like that, and if it didn't feel too firm, I put a little bit more in. Just put a little bit at a time. So I'm not going to stuff his head at this moment. I'm going to put on the antennae, I'm going to put the eyes on, and I'm going to put the facial features on. And I think his bow, doesn't it? Yeah, his bow goes on here, and cheeks, the cheeks. So I'll show you how to do the cheeks. You need the deep purple, where am I getting that from? It's pink. Get the deep pink, and we'll do the cheeks, and then I'll show you the safety eyes. The cheeks are really easy. Magic circle and 6 double crochet. Close up, and unlike starting at the caterpillar's nose, you will join this. So go in the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, hold it, bit of a tail so you can sew, pull that through, and that will hold it together. So what you want to do is another one, sew your tails at the back as I've shown before, or however you like to do, and then you're ready to put the facial features on, and the bow and the antennae. You wonder why I've got all the facial features and the bow. Well, I did videos on these the other day when it was a little bit brighter. There's the cheeks. The eye is not how the pattern is. I didn't like the way the pattern made the embroidery eye. I didn't like it, so I just did it this way. You'll see that in the video. I'm going to put safety eyes on mine. They're a little bit smaller than this one, but even so. The antennae does have a little bit of white on, as you can see on the photograph on your pattern. I forgot to do mine. So if you want to put that on, you can put that on, but I'm not bothered about it. We'll put the facial features on together. I've put my safety eyes in where I want them to be, and then from here I'll put the rest of the features on. Start and finish ish, if you like, where you start and finish is almost at the bottom, and that's how I work it out. So safety eyes, position them in, and this is why I couldn't do the rest of the body and then get these in, and then you just click them in. That's one. Obviously if you're doing the sewing eyes, you sew them on. there you go. That's what it looks like underneath. Double check I've got them in okay. Now, if you want, you could put some stuff in his head. And this is to get the shape. And this is probably why they say finish your teddy off and then put your features on, because if you put them on and your crochet piece, whether it's round or oval, is flat, when you've sewn them on, they're not going to look right. So you need to have, I understand why they say do the teddy first and then put your features on. But like if you're doing safety eyes, you physically can't do that because you've made the head and you're ready for the body. You're ready for the body, you can't do it. So you could stuff him a little bit. It gives you the shape. Once you've put the eyes on, either safety eyes or the sewn on eyes, do the antennae next and put them side by side. This yarn is so slippy. Put them side by side like that. Make sure you go in so you don't split your work. Go in the natural holes there, look, where the stitches are. Go in the natural holes. And then when you come through and you want to go through the antennae, make sure you go through both loops, front and back. Obviously it'll be the other way around, because if you pull it at some later date, if you've not caught both, it's going to stretch your work. You don't want to do that. All that work you've done. Do that to both. That's your antennae. Then put your cheeks on. And if you've ever done any sewing before, it's simple as, is it whip stitch? Just go in, out, and go back on yourself. It is fiddly because they're small. Again, take a look at the photograph where to put your cheeks, or do it where you like. I think it'll look funny, but it's kind of cute. And then once you've done those and you've fastened the tails off, your bow. Now I didn't realise, excuse me, if you look at the photograph, where is it? If you look at the photograph, oh goodness me, shaking the camera. I think they've sewn the shape of the bow on as well. I've just sewn in the middle, mine. I didn't, look, it's flapping. I think they've sewn all the way. Do it as you like, I suppose. But I've just sewn in the middle. If once you've sewn your cheeks on, or one cheek, and you're struggling how to finish off, once it's on, just pull your stuffing out and then sort it out at the back. Again, this fabric glue is great. Now I don't know if this will stick. It didn't on mine, so I'm not going to tell you definitely use it, but you can stop your end fraying. So sew on all the way around, go through into the back, take your stuffing out, kind of sew it in the back if you can. You can do it in the back stitches of your green, but make sure you don't come through. Just keep double checking. And also you can, in between, you can put your stitches backwards and forwards in here. But don't do it too tight, because you don't want to, you've done all this work and you don't want to stretch it, damage it, whatever you want to call it. And then do the same for the other. Practice makes perfect, I'm afraid. So if it's your first time, but just take your time. When I sew in, when I go in and out, or the antennae, I don't pull it tight straight away. I make it a little bit loose, and then if I like the position, I can just pull the thread, the yarn, to close the gap, and then I know it's secure, fasten off, weave in, and it's done. But if you start sewing it and then pull it tight and do that same, and then it doesn't look right, it's a real pain to take it out, to unpick it. And again, you do not want to be stretching your work you've already done. So once I've put mine on, I'll come back and I'll show you how I did the smile and the eyebrows with the black. For the smile and eyebrows, I used, because it doesn't tell you how to do it, it just says do it. Yep, with black yarn, embroider, eyebrows and smile and mouth. So give yourself a good length. There's plenty of yarn for I don't know how many Cuthbert's faces. And you can do the eyebrows and the smile in one. So how I do it is use the natural holes here above the eyes. Battle through the battle through this stuffing, because you want the shape of the face to get the expression right. Leave yourself a little bit of a tail, and depending on how long you want it, I think that'll look right. And then come out through the other side. Here you go. Don't pull it too tight because you'll pull it in and you don't want to do that. So a similar place, and you've used, there's one stitch in between there, so it will be that one. And then from what I remember, let me look at Cuthbert. 1, 2, 3. So your 1 line, 2 line, 3 line. So I'm going to come up somewhere here, a bit further down. You can do this without the stuffing. So you've got, can you just see his eyebrows? They don't have to, again, they don't have to be perfect. And what I learnt this off the internet. I'll just push that right through. Where's my needle? Right. Obviously you don't want that face. Can if you want. But what I learnt was just give yourself a bit of slack. And obviously you want that smile. And I think this lady did teddies. And there's a word for it. I'm not going to say it because I always get it wrong. And what she did was it was a little teddy as well. She used a little blob of glue. So I've put it on where I want the black to go. And then pop the black on the glue. So at this point, if you haven't got any glue, go and buy some fabric glue. It's great. What's this called? Fray Stop. I'm not sponsored in any way for any of this video. I personally like Aldi's crochet kits because I like the patterns, and I usually ditch the yarn because I know it's not going to be good quality. Not for £2.99, it's not. Now it looks a bit yucky, but it does dry okay, as you can see by Cuthbert. You can feel it, and that's how I almost get a perfect smile. So ignore that white fluffy kind of, it's just because this yarn is really fluffy compared to a better quality, you have all this like fluff on it, and when it's dried, if it doesn't stick down, which it's still coming off, I'll put some more on. But use that natural line for a smile. I'm going to put a bit more on because it's not doing it. I may have to pin this down. It's not for a competition, is it? So it doesn't matter. There you go. Yeah, it dries clear, so you're alright. You'll be able to see the smile. There you go. So you can just see through the white, his smile. And what I usually do is tie these two together inside, but not too tight because you'll distort the face. You don't want this green going in, puckering, anything. So just take your time. But that's how I do the smile. to get that. For years I've been sewing it and it's jagged, it looks horrible. So I can't remember who the lady is, but I'm really grateful for that. Again, if you haven't put the bow on already, just underneath here, sew around and do the same on the inside. So when mine's dry, I'll come back, which might be tomorrow now because the light's fading, and we'll do the rest. Before I finish rest of the caterpillar, when you've done your face, I'll show you in a minute what mine looks like. Inside, because I want to knot the first tail to the last, and you don't want to overstretch it, I've pulled the stuffing out, and all I'm doing is taking the last tail and threading it, and just making sure you just pick up the back stitch of stitches from the head. Make sure you don't get it caught, and that's all I'm doing, going up to the first tail, and then I'm going to knot them inside because nobody sees that, so that's absolutely fine. Make sure you've not gone through the other side, and because you put the facial expression on when it was stuffed, just be careful now as you knot. You don't stretch it, just tie it gently but firmly, and you can always keep turning it round. I go like that with my needle, just gently like that. That's it. Because I've glued the smile, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's stuck. Now, before I show you, let's put the stuffing back in, because I need to do the stuffing anyway. Put the stuffing back in. And this is why I say I like doing the facial features first before I finish the whole caterpillar. And plus, as I've said a few times, I put safety eyes in, and if I finish the caterpillar, there's no way on earth am I going to get the eyes in. Anyway, look at that. It's actually stuck. Can you see? It took some doing, and I've had to leave it overnight. But I've sewn the cheeks on. So if you've got this far and you're not using safety eyes and you're using embroidery eyes, you can carry on the rest of caterpillar and then sew everything on afterwards. But I like to make sure they're not going to come off. Cute, isn't he? I haven't put the bow on still. I'll do that off camera. I'll put the bow on, and I'm going to put mine here as opposed to here. I'll put mine there. Moving on to the 3 body sections. As I've said before, the pattern is written correct, but there is some understanding that they haven't written in. Whether that was on purpose or not, I don't know. And it threw me when I did the first caterpillar. I haven't got my stitch marker where I should have, or where I recommend you put yours, but I know what I am doing. So keep yours in your first stitch, take out, do a bit, put it back in. You've stuffed your head. Now you want him firm, but you don't want it over stuffed. As I do the next section, the first section of the body, I will put a bit more in. But if I put too much in, you're going to catch it in your stitches. And then if you go wrong, trust me, you'll struggle because it'll catch. It's going to catch a little bit anyway. So we're increasing. I think I said it before, you increase a little bit on the sections of the body, but you don't have as many stitches as you did on the head, so it's not as big. So you 1 double crochet, increase, whoops a daisy, split, and then 1 double crochet, and you do that all the way around 6 times, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. There you go. First round of the first section of body. You slightly open it up. If you noticed, your increasing was on top of your decreasing from the last round on the head. Now the pattern, as you were reading it, does say DC 3, so that's double crochet 3. Now some patterns will say double crochet 3 times, as in a cross. Some will put it individually. So if you're new to crochet, I think I said it before, it means it's 3 individual double crochets. So it's 1 in the first 3 stitches. Don't forget to take your stitch marker out and pop it back in your first. I'm doing that for a reason. And then your increase is at the end and not in the middle. Do that all the way around and I'll see you back at the beginning. There you go. That's that row done. Sorry, round. Do the next round what the pattern says, and that's where you increase in the middle of the stitches. Do that 6 times. So you should have 36 stitches on the next round at the end. And then you're just doing 5 rounds of what I would call plain crocheting. So it's 1 double crochet. And I'll come back for that, after those rounds I'll come back and we'll do the decrease together just one more time. And then the pattern that I've got, and I presume everyone's pattern will say exactly the same, I'll do it as it says and then we'll talk about why it's slightly wrong. Finished all the plain crocheting. Now it's the decrease rounds. We're going down to 30 stitches. We're on 36 at the moment. And your pattern will say DC 2. So it's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. Don't forget to pop your stitch marker back in. I know I've left mine here, but you need to put yours back in. And to decrease, don't finish off your double crochet, put your hook in your next stitch and pull up the other loop. That's 3 loops. Remember not too tight, and pull through all the 3 loops. And then it says DC2, 2 individual double crochet. Do that all the way around and then do your next round, down to 18 stitches, decrease another twice after this one, down to 18 stitches, and I'm going to come back because this is where the pattern is not giving you information how to finish off Cuthbert. There you go, section 1 is done. 18 stitches to start, and I said stop at 18 stitches. But yet you can say to me, the pattern says go down to 6 stitches, which it does. And then it says stuff underneath that. And then it says repeat rows, rounds, 18 to 30, 3 more times. Yes, I have got 3 sections as opposed to 4. Oops, never mind. So to repeat rounds 18 to 30, if I'd have put 2 more rounds on here, because I've stopped 2 rounds short, the math doesn't work out. You can't have 18 up, down to 6 and then go back up to 24 stitches, because that's what round 18 says. At the end you should have 24 stitches, but you can't go from 6 stitches to 24. Physically not possible. Not doing what it says in the pattern, because the pattern's written right. It's just the paragraphing they've done slightly wrong. What they should have done is, and I recommend you do it, is write a line between round 28 and 29 and put the word end of caterpillar, something like that. Then you know those 2 last rounds that take you down to 6 stitches is at the bottom. And that's how you close Cuthbert up at the end. So your sections or 18 stitches to 18 stitches, not 6. So do that, how many sections you want. Remember, keep stuffing him. I've put a bit in and I've pushed it down. I haven't pushed it hard, but push it down so your stuffing's not going onto your stitches. I learned that the hard way because I went wrong, and once you pull out, which is fine, that's why you keep your stitch marker in your first stitch, your stuffing gets caught in the stitches, and it's really hard to get it unravelled. I've used scissors before now and been very careful, and that's why I say do your stitch count after every round if you're unsure. So do your sections, so either 3 as I've done or 4 as the pattern says, and I'll meet you at the bottom here. There you go. That's as long as I'm going to do mine, the same as I've done the first one. So it's 1, 2, 3 for me. You might do a 4th section. Make sure you stuffed each section the same firmness. And what helped me is you can hold it between each section, just squeeze it gently. It doesn't move the yarn, but it just forms it a little bit better. And also you can get the acquired firmness of your caterpillar. As I said before, you've got 2 more rounds left, 29 and 30, which should have been omitted from the paragraphs before and left at the end. So I'm going to do my 2 off camera, and I'll come back and we'll do the ending together. I've done down to 6 stitches. You can take your stitch marker out that shows you the first stitch and pop it into your off your hook, you know, your loop, so it doesn't unravel. And this is the way you can pop extra yarn, stuffing, sorry, into the last section. What I do is make sure my scissors are closed and find the hole very gently. Make sure the scissors are closed. You could use back of your hook, because if you use the front it's going to permanently pull it out. You could use the back of your hook, so you know it's definitely not going to cut any of your work. There you go. It's quite firm. I may put a bit more in before I actually close it up. I'm not sure. Now, once you've got your caterpillar finished and it says fasten off, you don't need a long tail, but definitely 6 to 8 inches. In your loop, whether you've got a stitch marker on or not, go into your first, if you're going to do another round, the next stitch, yarn over, do a slip stitch, yarn over, pull through, and that ties it off. Thread your needle, and what you want to do, this is how I close my beanie hats, just go weave in and out of the stitches. Doesn't matter if you catch a bit of the stuff in, try not to. Try and go in the natural holes as well. Just gently pull. Let's close the end up. Now, to stop this from coming open, you see where the antennae is? I'm going to go down the next stitch, and I know this is going to be covered up by the tummy and legs piece, but you don't want to pull it too tight that you do that. Don't do that. Pull it back out. You can see it just going to pull, stop, go the way of a stitch, go back to where you were. Again, don't pull too tight. It is going to be covered, but you don't want to lose that circle shape, do you? You don't want to lose that. So pull it tight enough that it vanishes and it's not a loop. Go back in there, go in the same place, in a different stitch, hole. Same again, don't pull too tight on the back end. And keep doing that and come out different places. Until there's almost no yarn. And then, say if it's a bit short, which it is for me to turn the corner, you see that? Put your needle in to a stitch, hold it, thread your needle again. It's a little bit fiddly, but you can do it. And then push it through, pull through. You can pull it so you're going to, it's puckered a bit. All you do is grab it and generally you can pull it back through. There you go. It's good, isn't it? Obviously you may have got an extra section, as I said. So what we need now is the underbelly.